Champions again, ole ole. Champions again, ole ole. Ladies and gentlemen, Mad Dog in the building. Champions of England. We know what we are. 2026, 22 years in the making. It was unbelievable scenes at the Emirates yesterday, man. I missed it on Tuesday. I had stuff going on Tuesday. I couldn't really reach, but my God, did I have some FOMO. My God, did I have some FOMO seeing it, yeah. And I had to reach yesterday after the game. The game was a bit of a weird experience, if I'm honest. Obviously, we didn't need to win. Spurs were in the mix. You know, let me just speak on the Spurs thing real quickly, yeah. And then we're not going to talk about that anymore for the rest of this video. Spurs, yeah, I actually wanted them to stay up initially. Initially, like if we're going back the last few weeks or last couple of months, I've been looking at it thinking, if I do think about it, which is not very frequently, I would probably prefer that they stay up purely for the reason that you can't have the Roadrunner without the Coyote, you can't have Tom without the Jerry. Part of the unspoken tribalism of being a football fan is the local derbies, right? And the banter and the excitement that comes with that. Plus, it's just the easy 6 points, yeah? In the words of Expression Zuzin, it used to be fun for them when it was competitive, but now it's about as competitive as Joe Jackson versus his kids. Do you know what I mean? And so I quite enjoy slapping them up. And yeah, I but then when they started talking shit when we beat West Ham, and it's like, fam, you guys needed us to win more than we needed us to win. And you're complaining about us getting a win. Like you would be relegated right now. Yeah. So ever since then, I kind of thought, you know what, I do hope they go down. But anyway, that didn't happen. So it was a bit of a palaver with the whole game and having to wait for the trophy and whatever. But then when I reached up to North London, man, I was worried like going up there, thinking, it won't be quite the same as Tuesday and there won't be that many people. And when I'm getting there, you're seeing a lot of people like leaving as well. And you get closer, and then the police had cordoned off a couple of the entrances, and I was thinking, oh man, maybe it is rammed, or maybe just after what happened on Tuesday, they don't want people congregating around the Emirates, yeah. And fortunately they were just controlling the entrances, yeah. And so we got in, and my God, bro, it was just incredible. It was just incredible. It was never at a point where like you felt like it was gonna be a Hillsborough thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, not sorry, that's not to be amusing, but like you never really got that worried about it. There were certain sections that were getting like pretty busy, but for the most part, the police did an incredible job. And you could be in the busy areas that were just like mosh pits if you wanted to, or you could just be in the more chilled areas. But it was just a party, bro. It was a party. The sun was shining. Do you know what I mean? Like the gooners were gooning, pause, and like everywhere, like the whole way from driving up from like West London up to North London, yeah, because I went to go see my parents first and that. It was just Arsenal shirts everywhere, man. It was just Arsenal. It was just a sea of red. Yeah. And honestly, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. 22 years, like 2004, I was at uni and I remember it well, man. I remember it well, the Invincibles era. And winning it at the lane. Um, with they screwed us with the last minute penalty. So we didn't beat Tottenham. We got a draw, but that was enough to win the league. And then obviously we saw out the Invincibles that year. And I remember the other two wins as well under Wenger. And I remember when Bruce Rioch came in. I remember when Wenger came in. I remember when Bruce Rioch came in and George Graham stood down. I think that was my first season as an Arsenal fan. We finished 10th. Bruce Rioch under corruption charges. Sorry, no, George Graham under corruption charges stood down. I think it was that season or the season after that we lost the Cup Winners' Cup with the Naim situation. And yeah, it was a dodgy time to be like supporting Arsenal, to be honest. Um, but my God, like these two, I can't even believe it's been 22 years, like, and especially like I'd say the last like the COVID years, because even when we won the FA Cup, like the world had bigger stuff going on, and most people had bigger stuff going on. So that FA Cup almost like not to detract from us, but they called it the COVID Cup and whatnot, and it kind of felt like that. There was no parade or anything for that, and so yeah, it was just nuts. It was just nuts, and it's incredible, just like with Arsenal, and I suppose like London in general, and especially that part of London, to see the sheer diversity at like a socio-economic, cultural, um and a demographic level, or like just how diverse our fan base is, I guess, within the UK, but also internationally. I'm sure people might have already seen what's been going on in Africa, what's been going on in Asia, what's been going on in the US. And I gotta be honest, like when I lived in the US for a couple of years, I thought it was a bit cringe how you had all these yeah, the Arsenal, yeah, come on the Gunners, right? I used to think it was a bit dumb, and you'd see quite a lot of people with, Arsenal shirts on and whatever. Even before, like when I used to go there a lot for work before you know what I mean? I was living there. You'd see a lot of Arsenal fans, and I kind of looked a bit down my nose at them, as a Londoner, to be honest. But you got to realize that, what, they really love the club, man. They really, really do love the club. And I've, before I was doing this for my own entertainment, like when I would just be talking to my friends about football and whatnot, I would always say that, like, Arsenal really, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, and I'm sure that there probably is other examples, yeah. Like, Arsenal really are the when it comes to like the top six at least, probably the rest of the Premier League will be, I'm sure that there is an exception or two, right? Um, but definitely within the top six, Arsenal were the purest, in my opinion, of like the I don't know, this is my bias coming through. All right, so but I should have said, yeah, this is not my normal objective self. The reason why I'm normally so boring, the reason why nobody watches these videos, yeah, is because I always try my best to be like objective, right? And you can't really be that entertaining and like and energetic when you're trying your best to be fucking like objective. But now I'm just gonna come out with lots of like biased, one-sided, subjective bullshit, right? And then at least maybe that will be a bit more entertaining. So, in my opinion, we're like the purest of the football clubs, like, and it's really like neck and neck between us and Liverpool, right? I say I'd probably include Liverpool in what I'm about to say here, because we're not owned by a fucking nation state, who's trying to basically like do all kinds of like non-sporting related objectives with their reasons for owning a football club. Do you know what I mean? And like we've got owners that run sports teams for a living, right? So they really understand like the emotional affinity, like the anthropological like expression of tribalism, and like competition within fixed rules, and like what that means to people's emotional connections to their teams and whatnot. And they're not just trying to, diversify their GDP base. They're not just trying to elicit soft power. They're not just trying to get advertising for their brands uh with their state-owned companies, you know, like, and they're also not just part of some really elaborate financial engineering, which is what's going on at Man United. Do you know what I mean? Like that when you really dig into the ownership structure, the Glazers, and you know how how convoluted that is, right? And how disconnected those owners really are, right, from like what their fans are really on. Um, it's mad, right? And I know I'm probably just like talking a load of BS here, but it's like when you look at Kroenke Sports Entertainment, right? All of their franchises now have won leagues in the last 4 years, right? Um, all of them, right? The NHS NHL team, fucking NHS team, bro. Probably if they had an NHS team, that would be winning as well, right? We should probably put them in charge of the NHS, to be honest. But yeah, the NHL team, the NBA team, the NFL, and now the EPL, they won it across the board. And you know, when you look at the Boston-based group, why is the name just escaping me now? But yeah, when you look at like Liverpool's ownership group, they can maybe tell a similar story, which is why, you know, I feel like we're the last of like the the classy fucking clubs, man. Like, you know, but these scumbag teams like Tottenham and like Man United, which are literally just all about just run for financial engineering, bro. That's the only thing they care about, bro. They could give a F about actually competing, right? And these other scumbag teams like Man City and Chelsea, right? I mean, Chelsea have gone from being like a, non-state actor, money laundering oligarch to being a financial engineering team, which behind that is also a non which is also like, you petrodollar funded as well when you really like dig in under the covers. They're basically just fucking like pawns, bro. They're pawns. They're not even like really sports teams, right? And so I'm just so happy, bro. I'm just so fucking happy. And like this whole week, it hasn't really kicked in, man. It hasn't really kicked in that we won the league at all. And but yeah, just being there with the Gooners, like young and old, man. I was speaking to one couple, like they've been supporting Arsenal 57 years. They've had a season ticket for like 30 years. Do you know what I mean? Um, and it's yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy, man. Like going home and away, like elderly couple, they go home and away for 30 years. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. And yeah, man. And for all the haters as well, bro, all the haters, like I've never heard so much bollocks talked here for any season. People talking about there's an asterisk by this championship, bro. Like, bro, there's an asterisk in your fucking intelligence, bro. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be and asterisks in your fucking medical record, bro. You need to be put on a fucking register. Yeah, you fucking idiots, bro. Like, honestly, for years people were saying that Arsenal play pretty football, Arsenal play pretty football, but they never win anything. They're not tough enough. They get bullied, this, that, and that, other. And now all of a sudden we're too physical and it's all about set pieces and the football is not pretty enough, mate. You guys, mate. In the what there was a I do a lot of like boxing shit, right? And it's like there was a boxer that no one's probably heard of apart from me, right? Called Danny Green. And he was a Australian cruiserweight. And I remember he was fighting a catchweight with this like really like anti-hero character. Or should I say villain character called Anthony Mundine, who's basically hated by everyone in Australia, right? And which I'm sure there's like nobody on this video has ever heard of. But I just remember after Danny Green won the fight in the post-fight press conference, he sat down and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, stick it up your bottoms." Right? And in the immortal words of Danny Green, yeah, to all the haters, stick it up your bottoms, mate. Do you know what I mean? You guys are fucking idiots, bro. You guys are fucking so bitter and so jealous, yeah. You guys talk about Arsenal more than you talk about your own teams, you know? Like, fuck all of you, man. And like the dumb thing about it is the like, there's certain people who I understand, like in Talk Sport and all of this, the ex-players and whatever that have podcasts and they talk nonsense, right? To basically solicit engagement because that's how they get paid. And I get that, right? Get your money up, boo-boo. Yeah. Get your money up. Yeah. But you people that are talking nonsense for free, you know what I mean? You people, yeah, that are talking bollocks like for nothing, I genuinely feel sorry for you, bro, because it's only gonna get worse. Now we've won the league, yeah. Now we're gonna be able to attract even more like world-class players. We're gonna have even more money to spend. Our international fan base is gonna be even stronger than it is, yeah. I'll never forget going to go watch Arsenal versus Real Madrid in Washington. And like uh, especially like me traveling from Florida to Washington to go see the game. Like in Florida, there's mad Latinas. Yeah, well, Latin people. Obviously, I got a one-track mind, but there's mad Latinas, right? And they're all like most of them are Real Madrid, and then you get the odd Barcelona as well. And so I was thinking we were gonna be outnumbered there, and like my ex at the time was Real Madrid, and so we like, what I mean, we sat in the Arsenal end, but I was wondering like, what's the split gonna be like? Are we gonna be outnumbered? No, no, it's probably 60-40 Arsenal. And it shocked me just like, I thought maybe it was just like an Orlando thing, maybe it's just like a lot of British people, whatever. But nah, man. Like our international fan base is wild, bro. Yeah. And it's only gonna get stronger now. And I'm just so glad this scumbag team, Man City, didn't win it again, bro. And hopefully, from what I'm hearing, the charges are incoming, even though we've been hearing that for God knows how long. But I think that's probably why Pep's called it a day. He wants to breeze before the charges come in. And yeah. And so it's gonna be long for Man City next season. Liverpool, who knows whether Slot's going to be there. They got a couple of, their squad is aged, right? They need to do a lot of work. Chelsea are just obviously just a scumbag team, right? And who knows what's going to happen with them. And so it's really only Man United that have got any kind of consistency. Now, if they have a couple brain cells and they keep my man in the job, yeah, then they can probably do something because since he's come in, I think Man United maybe are number one or number two, in terms of points. So like they're gonna be our only like obvious competition. Now things can catch you out of left field, right? Who knows what could happen? Um, but boy, bring on the Champions League, mate. That's what I say. Bring on the Champions League. I really hope that the players just go into that with no fear, right? Because we've got the monkey off our back now. We're champions of England. Like our fans have had an incredible like week. We're gonna have another incredible week just in the lead up, and just go out and express yourselves and play your football. And the result is what the result is, right? And yeah, man, yeah. And it's nuts. It's nuts that like there's people talking about don't even support Arsenal that want to go to the parade now, and all you neutrals, yeah, used to like use us as a banter club, yeah. All these people say, oh, I don't really support team, Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. Fuck you, bro. Stay out of our parade, yeah. The other thing that I say, yeah, is we've definitely got the prettiest fan base, man. So honestly, like, a lot of Greek things out there in North London, man. But yo, yesterday round the stadium, it was a vibe, man, in more ways than one. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah. Basically, stay away from our parade. And oh God. It's fine. I feel like it's finally kicked in, man. It's finally kicked in. So I've just been freestyling this whole thing. I didn't really know where this was gonna go, but yeah, I just want to say massive middle finger to the haters, up the arse, and bring on the Champions League.